David. David, yeah?
How are you?
Nice to meet you, sir.
Sorry, I was just grabbing some
No, this is great. Where
have you parked your bike?
Just around the corner.
All right.
That's okay.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. In this photograph, it is way more pictorial in the sense that it actually looks like a thing. So it looks like a tree with leaves. It looks like there's a pot. It could be a pot. It's on a sort of so the foliage and the plants and stuff are kind of illustrated, but the ground, the sky, the back, whatever it is way more sort of just abstract and undefined. So what's the story behind this piece?
Last week I went with a few other gardening enthusiasts to this orphanage near Shungshui in the here in the New Territories.
Okay.
And they look after severely handicapped orphans.
Oh,
right. So
children.
Yeah.
Orphans.
Yeah, orphans. Yeah, and
What?
they around the orphanage they have a rather lovely garden, and they take the children out into the garden, and they have a project to make the garden more sensory for the children.
Okay.
And around the back when we walked around the back, the lady who was showing us, the very nice lady who ran the place, I suddenly noticed there was looked like a huge pot, literally this high.
Okay, about 5 feet, 4 feet tall.
But you could hardly see it because it's this big philodendron plant, which is this like leafy plant, like a huge palm, was hanging over it, and the roots were coming out the side, something like Angkor Wat. Feeling, you know. And I said, "Oh, look, there's that lovely pot," you know. And then the lady said, "Oh, yeah, that's just something we had, and I didn't know what to do with it, so I pushed it to the side there, and if anyone wants it, they're welcome to have it."
Okay.
You know? And we also said, "Oh, no, you can't move that because this lovely, beautiful plant has..." You see, the plant is not growing out of the pot, but it's sort of grown up the side of it, but its little roots, and then it's sort of sitting... It was sort of sitting across the top, resting on the top, and then it's put out this massive, beautiful bush of sort of leaves. So it was like this sort of beautiful little thing that was sort of an unnoticed sort of part of the garden in a way, underappreciated. So I carefully took 2 or 3 photos of it, and we all sort of appreciated it. And then I thought, when I get home, I'll draw it, you know, just to sort of really show how beautiful I thought it was.
Right.
So I drew it, and I sent the picture to the lady, and you know, now it's a bit of the garden that will be really appreciated.
Yeah.
You know, because it was a beautiful like hidden corner in the garden. You know, that
you
had
kind
grown
of
up like
saw.
accidentally. In a way. Yeah.
So like in trying to so out of your own sense of inspiration, motivation, curiosity, internal driver to do something, you've kind of landed in this, sounds like because of the pandemic, now that you have this space, to really kind of get into this idea of self-expression and connecting that to your passion about not only soils, but the landscape and you know, where you live and how you're connected to it. So how can you convey this or express this to somebody to inspire them to kind of go, to have their own epiphany in whatever way that looks?
I think I like my art to, generally speaking, I like my art to uplift people and to just sort of perhaps sort of switch their thinking a little bit. Particularly people who follow my art sort of consistently because I post on social media and everything. Will gain some new insights perhaps from that, and then I use my art to talk about things I care about. You know, so I don't just say. I mean, the art, of course, just could exist without explanation. But I also like to talk about my art because my art comes out of the things that I care and think about.
Of course.
You know, and I have been trying to sort of because I made this sort of rather quixotic or weird decision to try and bring together my interests in soil and my interests in art, I've been trying to work through to a type of a language, so that the art is a type of a language to talk about that. But it's a process. It's still a very unformed language.
Right.
You know, I haven't got all the way through that journey by any means.
Sure.
It's an ongoing thing, but I'm trying to sort of develop through the painting, whether it's purely abstract or a bit more pictorial or whatever, to create a type of language that people can gain insights from, I guess.
So I'm North American, so in North America, Bob Ross was a big name in PBS painting or whatever. He just do landscapes, and it's a certain style of I don't know if the name is familiar to you.
I've heard of him, yeah.
So one of his little things, his classic things, was to say that there are no mistakes, there are only happy accidents. So let's take that idea of the happy accident being some moment of unexpected surprise that you could have never anticipated, that just kind of really surprised and humbled you, and really, can you think of a moment when you're creating, like specifically around your self-expression, that resulted in this kind of happy accident?
Yeah, I think every single time I draw or paint is exactly like that.
Really?
But so when I was younger, and for many years, though I did paint on and off through my last several decades of life, I was always felt very super conscious to share anything, because I felt this is not sort of up to the standard it should be, or you know, it's not really professional enough or whatever.
Yeah.
But after I started to really focus on doing art a couple of years ago, and that sort of predates the COVID by 6 months or so, I thought actually it's the accidents, it's the imperfections in the drawing that often are, you know, really beautiful in a way.
Sure, yeah.
And one shouldn't be totally self-conscious. One should just sort of share what one's doing.
Yeah.
Because then people can sort of follow my own journey as well.
Yeah.
Right. And therefore, I don't really worry if a piece of artwork is perfect or you know, entirely represents what I wanted to represent.
Yeah.
And I know my skills have been sort of, my draftsmanship skills and everything have been developing over time. And many of the pictures that I share, I think are very imperfect, and I couldn't really describe them as anything but sort of rather colourful accidents and whatever. But I still enjoy to share them, you know, and get some response. And so, in a way, when you, I mean, now I think as my technical skills are getting better, I could say that if I really apply myself, I can visualise something in my head, and then the end result can look pretty close to that. Okay. Right. But with many of my artworks, even when I start them, I don't really know what I was going to do. Yeah. I mean, that head with all the roots. Yeah. When I first started drawing that, I really didn't even know that it was going to be a head. Right. I just started to put some marks on the paper, and I was just sort of thinking, where's my imagination going to go? Nice. You know, and then somehow a sort of face seemed to come out of it, and then I thought, yeah, I could do something with this, and you know. Which is astounding when you think about it. If you actually think about how that comes to be, it's quite remarkable. Like, it's quite an interesting trick of our species, of our ability. Like, it's amazing. Yeah, it is, and it's like, I mean, there's so many different things in the way that our minds work. It's like you can go into nature, you might see a rock, and you might see a sort of a face in the rock or something. Yeah. You know, you may notice some tiny details within a tree which are far more interesting in some respects than the tree. Yeah. You know. So when I'm particularly when I'm doing one of the paintings, this painting, for instance, took me a couple of weeks. Yeah. That I went back and forth to it, and I had to painstakingly grind up all the different colours and search for colours I was looking for and stuff like that. Yeah. And there were some effects that I managed to get that I then subsequently lost. You know, because they've got overlaid by something else. Right. And that's why, going back to your very first question, I do tend to use the camera as well to sort of track what I'm doing. And when I finally finish the painting, and I post about the painting, which is obviously a photographic representation.
Sure. Yeah.
I might also include one or two of the process paintings to show some of the accidents that happened along the way and were even lost.
Yeah.
You know, but I still enjoyed and loved those marks when they happened.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow, David. Thank you. This has been great. I love ecology. I love natural world. Inherently, and I love that in this bizarre tucked away spot in this tiny valley outside of Hong Kong is this guy grinding earth and soil to make his art. I love it. Thank you so much.
No, it's been a pleasure.
Awesome.
Ran.
Great.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Of course. So is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.